Finding out about the opportunities in Leeds was very exciting.
I feel like I've gained so much experience and so much knowledge.
Not just using equipment, but how it works fully and how to set it up.
It's different and exciting.
And it's totally not what you expect.
As a manufacturing business in Leeds, I think we shock quite a lot of people. People don't realise how many manufacturers there are in Leeds. There's 1,800 of us. When you then say that we manufacture jukeboxes, which is something completely, really unique, people expect these to be coming from America, not from Cross Gates.
From scientific equipment to dog hair dryers to baby monitors. Generally people are quite shocked that there's a small company in Pudsey manufacturing electronics.
We're fiberglass moulder, bath panels, ambulance ramps, water treatment tanks. If it's mouldable, we'll make it.
The factory floor is light and airy and we have lots of modern machinery. We are quite traditional in the way we manufacture, but we have that blend of modern technology as well.
Over a third of our workforce have got degrees. We've got people doing marketing, accounts, designing them. There's people programming sophisticated machine tools. There's so many different skills.
You can become a design engineer, you can go into marketing, there's accounts, there's all the business admin, and then there's all the production, which is surface mount, conventional, testing. Enormous amount of opportunities here.
Getting into work and getting some on-the-job training can give massive opportunities going forward.
We need young people who want to come into manufacturing to design new things, make new things. We need fresh blood, lots of fresh ideas, lots of new enthusiasms.
Since I've started, my confidence has grown. I can go down there and speak to anybody.
Knowing that I can do my job and knowing I'm getting better each day makes it enjoyable.
Manufacturing can give you some fantastic hands-on skills, get you to understand the business, and it's great fun.
And we need designers, we need electronics engineers, we need woodworkers and metal workers, yeah. But you might be into accountancy. There's skills and opportunities required everywhere.
I used to be quite a shy lad. Since I've come here, I've come out my shell a bit. I've learnt a lot. I started, like you say, sweeping floors, and now I'm TIG welding, stick welding and MIG welding.
I didn't think I'd be able to do metal work and stuff like that. I thought it were above me, whereas now I've started and done the apprenticeship, it seems within grasp that we'll get a career in welding.
So Hopkins traditionally has been a manufacturer of fish and chip frying ranges and equipment for the fish and chip industry. The factory floor is light and airy and we have lots of modern machinery.
Quickly, after learning my place in the factory, if you like learning it, I've quickly settled in and everyone's really friendly and you get to know your place and just how everything works really.
The benefits are getting qualifications, so that's what I'm working towards, and you're not getting into debt by going to university.
You are at an advantage when you apply for careers. I think when employers look at your CV, having that practical experience along with the academic side really sets you aside. I want to give opportunities to everybody, no matter what their background, race, culture, sex. It really is to do with the talent and an ability to do the job, and I think any other issues that may be attached with that can always be addressed given the right support.
And welcome to Manufacturing Live. My name is Greg Wright. I'm the Deputy Business Editor of the Yorkshire Post. I'm delighted to welcome you here to Sound Leisure, a classic jukebox maker based in the heart of Leeds. Over the next hour, we'll be telling you about some of the fantastic careers you can carve out in engineering, long-term jobs with great prospects. This is all part of the Leeds Manufacturing Festival, a celebration of all that is great about manufacturing in Leeds. Today we've got an expert panel gathered around us who will talk to us about some of the great opportunities for working in manufacturing, and also they'll answer some of your questions that you might have about possible career opportunities in manufacturing. To get in touch, use Twitter, hashtag LeedsMFGLive. That's hashtag LeedsMFGLive. Very grateful for Sound Leisure for hosting us today, and also to the Works for helping to organise today's event. But first of all, let's find out a little bit about the actual Leeds Manufacturing Festival and why it is so important. Ben, you're from MPM, Ben Wilson. Tell me, why do we have a manufacturing festival in Leeds, and what does it hope to achieve?
I think main thing was just to promote manufacturing more. I think for too long we've been afraid to speak about manufacturing in this country, and build the links with schools. We can all moan that we're short of skills and people coming through, but as employers we need to build on those links, but try and get education more involved and promote the opportunities that are available.
It's very important that we do that. First of all, let me introduce the panellists for today's event, starting from the bottom row here.
Hi, I'm Graham Hall. I'm a chairman of Brandon Medical. We're a company in Leeds. We manufacture equipment for operating theatres and intensive care units. Yep.
Yeah, I'm James. I was a business admin apprentice at Brandon Medical, and I'm now the technical sales estimator.
Over to Alice.
I'm Alice Graham. I'm a mechanical apprentice at Adford Graphics in Seaclough.
I'm Lee McMahon. I'm a Jargon at MPM.
I'm Jess. I'm a business admin apprentice at MPM.
And moving up here.
Hi, Ben Wilson from MPM. We're a fiberglass moulder based here in Leeds.
Hello everybody, I'm Craig Burton. I'm the Managing Director of The Works, a recruitment business in Leeds employing over 500 people in manufacturing and engineering.
My name's Dale. I'm a production engineer at Dale Tech Electronics.
I'm Jason. I'm the paint sprayer polisher at Sound Leisure.
And I'm Chris Black. I'm the Managing Director of Sound Leisure.
And I'm Tracy Dawson from Dale Tech Electronics. We manufacture in Pudsey.
So an expert panel here today, some great questions, and we do want you to tweet your questions to us, hashtag LeedsMFGLive, and we'll do our very best to answer those questions over the next hour. Let's start off a question that's been asked by Gary. Now he says, my teacher once said that if I don't work hard, I'll end up working in a factory. Is that true? Now, I think that's going to get a very passionate response. Can I first of all come to you, Tracy? What's your response to Gary's question?
Well, I think that's exactly why we've started the Leeds Manufacturing Festival, because that question in itself just shows the disparity between what's available. You don't end up working in a factory because it's the worst thing that happens to you. You end up working in a factory because it's a great place to work. There's lots of opportunities, not just manufacturing on the workshop floor. We've got accounts and sales. There's a whole host of opportunities. So I would say to your teacher, come to one of our manufacturing companies and we'll show you the opportunities.
Do you think there's a big problem here in terms of schools and manufacturers? Whereas if you actually get pupils and teachers to go around manufacturing firms, they see the opportunities. I mean, Sound Leisure being a case in point. Here in the heart of Leeds, making classic jukeboxes exported around the globe. But people often are not aware of the opportunities in their local community.
Absolutely. You see the products here, they're absolutely fantastic. And I doubt very much that young people will know about you, let alone, we're manufacturing electronics for really weird and wonderful products. There's Brandon here, all these various companies doing these amazing things, offering amazing opportunities, but the schools are not aware of it. So what we want to do is open our doors, let the schools come in. If any of you that are listening now want to come for work experience, you just need to email us, send us a tweet, come and see us. Our doors are open now.
Graham, can I turn to you on this point as well? I know, for example, that you started as an apprentice. You've now gone on to a very senior position. When you see questions like that, what's your reaction to it?
Well, I was maybe lucky because the question was posed in a slightly different way to me, and that was if you don't work hard, you'll end up working in a shop. It might well be because I came from a manufacturing family. My father had been involved in the rocket program. He'd been involved in making avionics for fighter jets. He'd been involved in the growth of a very successful electronics business in this region. So I grew up with manufacturing. I went into the factories originally just to do unskilled work, just for some pocket money. But what I saw was a mixture of people working together to make fantastic products. I saw the different ranges of skills from people doing relatively low skilled work to very, very high skilled work. There's a complete and utter mixture. There's people designing products, engineers, we had marketing people, we had product designers. There's every range of skills in that business, but what they were all doing together was working as a team to make fantastic products that improved people's lives. And it was the product that floated my boat. That's what I really was enthused by. I didn't want to work in a building where people work on computer keyboards and screens and writing things down and just producing pieces of paper and information. I wanted to make products.
But that's the interesting thing, because people have an outdated view of what manufacturing is like. They look back to the 1970s. If you look at a place like this, if you speak to the businesses here, it's a very different scenario.
It is, but you go back to the 70s. I started work, first work in factories was in the late 70s, and even then, manufacturing wasn't the stereotypical dark satanic mill that people assumed it to be. It did have that range of jobs, but it's got better and better. Today we have 3D printing, we have 3D CAD. We can conceive products one day and actually have them on our desks the following day. So I think the improvements have been vast. The companies that we have left in the UK now are good manufacturers. Only good manufacturers survive. We're generally doing things that are world class. The companies that you see around you are doing fantastic things, making a huge range of products that go into everything that we see and do and use around us.
James, I'm going to turn to you, because obviously you work at Brandon Medical as well. I mean, why did you choose a career in this sector? I mean, looking at this question, people say, don't work hard, you'll end up working in a factory. Is that true? What do you feel about that?
Disagree entirely. I mean, a lot of my job is based in the office rather than in the factory itself. And I can say from when I've been out in the factory, there's a number of things that people are doing out there that goes way above my head working in an office. I think the idea that there's a different level of intelligence in an office or capability in an office compared to a factory is ridiculous. You go out there and see people working the machines and the work people are putting in to create the end products that the people like myself in the office are selling. You couldn't do that if you didn't have the skills and capabilities to do so, yeah.
It's interesting. I'm going to turn now to you, Jessica, because you work at MPM. Now, you see this question here. The concept is if you don't work out, end up working in a factory. What's your response to that question, would you say, Jessica, when you see questions like that?
I don't think there's actually anything wrong with working in a factory.
So when you talk about that, I mean, but what was your experience like? Because obviously you're passionate about manufacturing. You chose it as a career. What is it that particularly appeals to you about working in that kind of environment?
We have a strong team, and the people that I work with have probably make my job a lot better and a lot happier. So, and I don't think that it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Do you think that sometimes people might have sort of outdated views? Why do you think that is?
Well, when I was in school, I was never told about anything manufacturing. You just get the stigma of just doing the same thing every day and day in, day out, and it's a boring job, but there's so much more.
What sort of things do you do? Obviously, you find it a fascinating career move. What is it that appeals to you about it? You find it, it's very diverse, isn't it? You do a wide variety of things.
So much stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't really pinpoint.
But just describe some of the things you do just on a day-to-day basis.
I do stock takes. I do a lot of the admin, but as a company, there's water treatment tanks, shower trays, pizza ovens. There's so much stuff. Pizza, but that makes the point, doesn't it? It's so incredibly diverse. And at the end of the day, you can actually go out and you can think about, if you go and get a pizza, you've had a role in that. Yeah.
It's fascinating. Liam, can I turn to you on this point? I mean, looking at this question here about, if you don't work hard, you don't work in a factory. I mean, you obviously don't agree with those kind of sentiments. What have you found in your career when you've actually been working in manufacturing?
Well, for me, for that question, I never really enjoy school. It's like never been for me. Like, no, like just sitting in the class and just writing all day. And
Yes.
It's not for me. I mean, but knowing that I can get an opportunity, having an apprenticeship, working in a factory, is something good because I'm always busy and doing something.
And what's the thing you enjoy the most about it?
Knowing that I've got a good team around me and I get to learn a new skill. And that's for life, not just...
But that's a really interesting point you made there, because it's not just a short-term career move, it's a long-term career move, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and you feel that by making this choice, you're going to have a career for the long term.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to anybody else who wants to take this on?
Well, if you don't like being in school and you don't enjoy it as much like I didn't, it's best to get in contact with other manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
Because
but how is it different from school? What is it that really engages you about it, would you say?
You're not just sat in class all day, you're not listening to someone and telling you off and telling you what to do.
but that's really interesting. But the thing is, you're actually doing something, you're making something, you're actually playing a productive role.
You're doing something productive, not just something I don't enjoy.
Alex, going to turn to you. Alex, you're ad for graphics. You've seen obviously the question there, which is interesting. What's your response to that kind of sort of question?
To be honest, I find it slightly insulting because I did work hard, and like I'm sure everyone in this room have worked hard, and whether you work at a factory or not, it doesn't really matter. If you work hard, you're going to go places. If you don't work hard, you're going to be on the bottom rung for the rest of your life. And yes, you have to apply effort, but where you apply that effort, it doesn't really matter what industry you go into if the work ethic is there.
But I suppose it's an attitude thing, is it, where you think it's about the fact that it is, as we've been talking so far this morning, really interesting long-term jobs. I mean, what was it that inspired you to get involved?
Well, it's something I've always really wanted to do. I was taught like machining at a very young age from family members. So I've always known I wanted to go into the industry, but I found it quite difficult to start with. Like, as you were saying with work experience, when I tried looking for work experience, I was repeatedly turned away. Well, I was 16 at the time, and it was health and safety grounds mainly, which I could understand, but I think there should have been more of a push to let people have a glimpse of the industry if they were interested.
So they actually said on health and safety grounds, we can't give you a chance to look at the world of work.
Yeah, well, that was from my school, which I thought was a slight... I don't think they had the connections to the industry that they could have gained in.
Because it's interesting, but again, that shows an issue here about understanding about issues still. Because obviously that was wrong, wasn't it? You could go in at that age, yes. Mm-hmm. So because of that, you weren't able to take things forward at that age.
Yes, and it was. I think knowing the industry, it's an industry where I think it does, because it has the stigma attached of there's teachers going round saying that if you're not capable, then that's what you'll end up doing. It's sort of enclosed itself slightly, which is obviously it's trying to break out of that with doing events like this. As I was, Graham was saying that his family was coming from a manufacturing base, whereas mine didn't. So it was very difficult, even though I know I wanted to do that, it was very difficult to know the people, to know what to do to get into the industry.
And did your family support the move?
Yes, they did.
That must be key as well, mustn't it?
Definitely.
Let's build on that point here. Now, I'm going to turn here to Ben. Ben, you've heard some of the points, fascinating points made there by young people working in manufacturing. But the point there about the schools saying because of health and safety, it's not a good idea for 16-year-olds to come look at manufacturing plans. Does that concern you, those kind of thoughts?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I think we all get wrapped in cotton wool sometimes. And
I worked on a shop floor about the age of 10. I think it was before factory inspectors came round. But, you know, I got used to working paper rounds, milk rounds. You don't see it as much on CVs nowadays. And it's getting harder and harder to get people in for work experience. But even for us, there's a lot of things that we do where we maybe can't put a 16-year-old on there, but even for a minimum, they can come in and shadow somebody for a week, and they can actually learn what the world of work's about. Getting up in the morning. Fresh loves getting up in the morning. But you know, just getting in to see what work's about and actually seeing the inside of a factory and learning that it's not all dull and boring. The camaraderie and teamwork on a shop floor, I think it gives a great insight into what's available and the opportunities and how different people have progressed in that company as well.
So if you've got a message for the schools today, if there'll be many teachers watching this broadcast, Leeds Manufacturing Live, what's your message to them?
I think they need to, well, as a country, we need to realise that we should be preparing people for life and work, not just ticking boxes for education. I think there's too many coming out of school now where the GCSE results are really good, but their attitude sucks. And I think the actual life skills, GCSEs are great, but teaching you what your bank account does and what a credit card can and can't do and so on and so forth, I think they're key for moving forward in life, and I think we're missing that a little bit, and building on pupils' confidence that maybe struggle in certain areas. You know, there's the famous thing, I can't remember it word for word, but don't try to teach a fish how to climb a tree. You're going to make it look like an idiot. And I think we should be doing more for pupils and the next generation to be prepared for life and some work.
That's interesting. Craig, can I turn to you on that point? Interesting here. But I think it's interesting some of the comments that have been made about engaging with schools, the importance of manufacturing firms engaging with schools. I'm sure you'd endorse that.
Well, it's key, isn't it? Because I suppose if Alice, Jess and Liam had been doing something like this a few years ago, we should have been doing this 30 years ago. Really talking to young people, talking to schools. It's almost like the engineering and manufacturing doesn't exist in the vocabulary of lots of parents and teachers and influencers. So for us to just explain to people that, you know, there's some fantastic career opportunities around in the manufacturing engineering organisations now, and we could be the world's best kept secret. But I don't know many people who haven't had a wonderful career working in engineering and manufacturing. And you know, I've worked in engineering and manufacturing for over 30 years, and I've seen lots of people have a wonderful time working in this industry.
That's great. Can I turn now to Dale? Dale, based on your experiences, and obviously we heard some experiences here about people moving into manufacturing, do you believe that there should be more engagement between schools and manufacturing firms?
Yes, to take it a step back, the work experience that I did was in an office, and I thought that wasn't, it wasn't what I wanted to do. So to be more hands-on, I turned towards manufacturing side and found that, and then developed myself with Dale Tech as a company as well. So yeah, I totally agree to trying to get the push to get the youngsters involved.
But I think the initial question I asked was obviously, you know, it's almost like a sign of failure working in a factory, which again people around here are obviously very angry about, because it's not true. And you can sort of endorse the fact that if you look at the work you do at Dale Tech as a case in point, or here at Sound Leisure, these are interesting jobs. These are skilled jobs.
Absolutely skilled. It's definitely not a failure at all. I've started at the bottom just from placing components into the boards, and then working my way up to be production engineer / supervisor at the moment, as I'm helping to train apprentices at the moment as well.
Jason, can I just have a chat with you as well? Obviously you work here at Sound Leisure. I mean, incredible, interesting business here. When you see questions like that and people saying it's almost a sign of failure to work in manufacturing, how does that make you feel?
Well, there's no failure at all in it, to be honest. I mean, I come straight from school, 16 years old. They had faith in me, the company, and the skills I've learnt now are just unbelievable. I mean, I could actually go and train a young student now how to do my job. Do you know what I mean?
Because just tell me a bit about your job, because I think people are keen to find out.
What I do is the actual cabinets as you look around here. I spray and polish, and I'll do all different colours and what have you. Also, I have a hand in building them as well now, so yeah. And
these go all around the world. I mean, you used to have quite a few celebrity clients. People like to have a jukebox in the home. So do you often sit down after a day's work and think, where will the jukebox end up? Who will be using this jukebox?
Well, I think we've done one for Gallagher's, haven't we? I think. Shouldn't really say that, I don't think. But we've done, we've done quite a few for a lot of famous people, but obviously with skills that we've been trained, every single cabinet, regardless of what it is, goes out perfect.
It's interesting. But your main competitor is actually overseas, isn't it? Because in this particular sector, you're one of the leaders.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we are, aren't we? Yeah. Literally, yeah. Yeah, there's not many people can do what we're doing. So.
Chris, can I turn to you? And obviously, we're here at Sound Leisure looking at some of the work that can be done in manufacturing. You're obviously very passionate about getting out. But when you saw the initial question there, your heart must have sank because you thought, well, is the message getting across?
Yeah, and I think really we need to not concentrate on as much on it being a failure and forget all that, because we've got a team of 90 people here. We've been in business 40 years this year, so that's 90 families and plus generations gone by that have had good jobs working in the local area, designing products that are seen all over the world. And I think I'd like to throw that question in the bin and let's start talking positive about it now and saying, look, there's opportunities out there. You can travel the world doing it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You can be, but there's jobs there for everybody in different sectors, and the fun jobs, it's about teamwork, it's about working together. You make some great mates here, don't you? And we all get on together, and that's what it's about.
Thank you. You're watching Leeds Manufacturing Live, which is part of the Leeds Manufacturing Festival. I'm Greg Wright, I'm the Deputy Business Editor of the Yorkshire Post. We want your questions to #LeedsMFGLive. Now, the next question. Manufacturing is low tech. Is this true? Another interesting point here. I'm going to start off by going to Ben on this one. Is manufacturing low tech, true or false?
I think there's an element of true and false. I think if you're looking at some of the jobs that are available, you know, you can look back at how furniture was made 40 years ago and how it's made now. It's vastly different, and some would argue that the furniture nowadays is rubbish compared to 40 years ago. So one of my best friends, he's a French polisher. That's relatively low tech. He's doing something that was done many years ago. If I'm looking at Brandon Medical and Dale Tech, that's high tech compared to some of the stuff that we do. What we do is it's manual work, but people still take pride in building a product with the hands. So there's many things in manufacturing that need technology and robotics and automation. There's still many opportunities out there where people can build things with a hand and actually see it go out the door and take great pride in that. And I think it's one of the things that needs to be promoted alongside the fourth industrial revolution and everything that is high tech. There's still some good low tech stuff there as well. Some would argue that walking's low tech. I still want to carry on doing it.
Craig, can I turn to you on this point? I mean, it's very diverse manufacturing, but if you talk about some of the work that's done, say, medical device companies, you've got a vast array here. It almost defies a simplistic answer, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, some things, of course, you know, we can't all be Prime Minister. Well, we don't want to be, do we? But you know what? I've got one message really. If you like talking to people, if you like communicating with other adults, if you like a little bit of a good time at work, the manufacturing engineering is the kind of job that you need to be in. If you look at some of the high-tech jobs that we've got in our region, there's nothing wrong with a high-tech job. And the idea that for me to look at a screen all day and do nothing else fills me with fear and dread. But that's part of my job. I have to do that. So it's kind of what fits you and your personality. If you like talking to people, if you're interested in the product, you know, we don't all manufacture beautiful jukeboxes. Some of the stuff we do might look a little bit dull and a little bit boring to some people, but if I'm going to do something a little bit dull and boring, I'm going to be the best producer of dull and boring in the world, you know. It's about finding something that you're happy to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. Dale, can I turn to you on this point? I mean, you again, looking at manufacturing low tech, again, it's a perception issue, isn't it? People assume it's low tech, when in fact it's a bit of a more complicated answer than that.
Yes, so the low-tech side, you could be just placing components into the board for me, but up to a high-tech of programming the board with its software.
So it's interesting. I mean, obviously, Jason, you'd go along with that, wouldn't you? Because I mean, a lot of the stuff, because you basically work with your hands, yeah, but you produce stuff like this. I mean, that's, by any reckoning, that's a quality product.
Yeah, it's massive skills to learn. I mean, it took me a lot of years to learn how to do that. But yeah, it is what it is, really.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, you've got something to show somebody, and nobody's going to say that it's not high quality. It's a question. It's all about the quality of your actual process, isn't it? You make something with your hands, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a lot of stuff that go in, and from like high tech to low tech, every little part of the jukebox that goes on, it's everything, and we all work together to get that.
Chris, do you endorse those kind of comments? I mean, again, it's another question about low tech, isn't it? We don't. It's a complicated situation between low tech and high tech.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it just shows where manufacturing is and where it's been over the years. Because all the questions that are coming in are quite negative questions about.
Yes.
Really, are we a failure if we do this? Is it low tech? Well, look at some of the racing cars that are coming out just from up the road, or look at the rocket. Planes. There's a lot of technology going on, and it doesn't have to be low tech. There's people. Some of the stuff we do in here is quite low tech, but some of the other stuff's fairly advanced. So there's electronics involved, there's cabinet making involved, etc. So I think we've got to start concentrating on how good it is and start pushing it. That there's 1,800 manufacturers in Leeds, and yeah, a lot of people don't know they exist because everybody's busy manufacturing something. They've not all got products like we've got that you can stick in a shop window and people see, but there's a lot of components go in that, and a lot of companies back us up as well and supply components to us. So it's we've got to start being positive about what we're doing.
Tracy, I think you'd like that positive message. You want to get your positive message out. I can feel it. I can sense it. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you, Chris. We don't have any products of our own, so we manufacture for other companies. And some of them are low-tech products, but that doesn't make them any less valuable. Some of them are very high-tech, and we're looking at really high-end stuff. That just means you have to be a different skill set. What we manufacture is high quality, and I think that's what you've got to concentrate on, yes, yeah. Is the quality of it and the processes and the skills you can gain from that.
You're watching Leeds Manufacturing Live. This is live from Sound Leisure Classic Jukebox in Leeds. Do hashtag Leeds MFG Live for your questions. I'm going to go to the back row here. I'm going to start with Alice on this point. Again, this manufacturing is low tech. Again, it's a negative connotation here, isn't it, which needs to be challenged?
Yeah, I think it's a negative connotation, but it's also what's wrong with low tech. Like, if it does the job, then to the best, why try and overcomplicate it? And there's also there's elements that are considered low tech, but then if you just went up to a random person in the street and went, could you do this? They'd be quite happy to say, oh, that's low tech, you don't need any skills to do that. But if you went up to them and went, can you do this? They probably wouldn't be able to. So
it's skilled yeah. use of your hands, isn't it? Which, do you think we sort of lost sight of that, or lost sight of valuing that perhaps?
I think it's definitely, there was a stage where it was like, oh, everything can be automated. And then there is a pros to that, but there's also, do you lose the skill? Not like, there's like crafts that have been completely lost because of the systems have been automated, and they're wanting it back, but they can't have it back.
But that's an interesting point, because people actually, there's been a rebirth in handmade crafts, hasn't there? Because consumers demand them.
Yeah, I think it's definitely sort of, it went through a stage of, we want everything fast now. It needs to be rushed, rather than we want the quality of a product that someone skilled has known how to make.
Liam, can you just turn to you on this point? When people talk about manufacturing being low tech and the rest of it, I mean, what's your response to this kind of question?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with low tech.
Because it's skilled, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely skilled, yeah.
And anything you do which involves your hand, you take pride in producing something.
Yeah, I'm always using my hands, what I do.
But do you feel that people should take pride in that? And actually, particularly in the media, for example, people like us, we should focus more on what's done, which is really high skilled.
Yeah, just because it's low skilled doesn't mean that you shouldn't take pride in your work and you shouldn't try as much, because at the end of the day it's going out the door, what you make.
And people are buying it. And as Alice was saying, if you talk to somebody in the street, they might look at it and think, well, I could do that. Well, they can't.
Especially the job I do, is if I don't do it right, this could be scrap. So.
But that's the point, isn't it? It's like, and it's waste, isn't it? That's the whole point. It's a skill in doing that, and we just don't value that as we used to, perhaps. Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Liam. Jessica, to continue on this point, the question about sort of low tech, it's all low tech manufacturing. What's your response to that, would you say?
Well, seeing what these guys do on the shop floor, it's the bucket, brush and a roller and nothing else. And it's quite low tech, but I wouldn't be able to do it.
But there's still skill involved in producing something, and you need to be trained, and people want it, and will go on wanting it in the future, whatever you make, yeah?
Yeah.
And I suppose that's a message you'd like to get across to people watching it, because a lot of people here will be schools, to be honest, people who are in school and might be thinking about the career options. What message would you give to them?
I just think, like, when you make a product and Ben brings back pictures of customers using the product, and everyone downstairs they take pride in it. Makes you feel good seeing that you made it, and it wasn't, cause even if it is low tech, they've made it all by hand, and they can take even more pride in it.
That's great. Yeah. You can take one more, yes, Ben. I know you wanted. Yes.
I just want to sort of echo what Jess is saying. A lot of things that you see on the news or whatever else look like the high-tech stuff. Whether it be Boeing, Airbus, Brandon Medical, Sound Leisure, you've still got a supply chain. So some of what MPM does will look low-tech, but to get somebody to be one of our best laminators, you're taking 5 years. So you can give some relative skills quite easily. But again, and what Alice said I thought were great. We overcomplicate things sometimes. There'll be screws in these wonderful jukeboxes. You'd class them as low tech. They're putting a screw in, but it's part of that end product. And what MPM do are a bit like Dale Tech. We don't produce our own products. We produce other people's, but it can go into a water treatment tank, for a safety window on a truck so cyclists aren't getting killed. Items that go in ambulances and so on and so forth, and it's the passion for producing those products right first time and at a high quality, not rushing it, not sending rubbish out the door. So I think low tech, high tech, manufacturing, it should be promoted all round because it's all part of the bigger whole.
Chris, you want to come in here as well?
Yeah, what I would like to say as well is I know multiple millionaires that specialise in low tech. Yeah. So you don't have to think that we've got to build rockets to make a life out of this or a living, because there's money out there, and especially in low tech, there's probably a bit more than in the high tech stuff.
Which is a very, very fine point. Graham, can I turn to you on this? I mean, obviously you've had a very long career in manufacturing. Brandon again. Sorry, a long and distinguished career in manufacturing. That's what I meant. Just tell me through this old concept of low tech. I mean, obviously you do things which have a real impact on people's lives.
Well, I say compared to what?
Well, exactly.
I've got, throughout my career, I've been in some very high tech environments, and there's people there doing very low tech jobs there. One of our colleagues is a microbiologist, which was basically putting drops in test tubes. We've got a range of jobs and skills for everybody. So we've got careers at every level. We don't need every one of our staff to be a rocket scientist. We've got guys who are at that end who design products, who invent new things, who invent new technologies. But all the way through the process and the things that we do, we have people who come in with no skills at all that we teach to make the products. We teach them skills. And you look at some of the things that people most admire. Kicking a football, that's not high tech. Playing guitar or singing in a rock band, that's not high tech. But those are skills that we appreciate, people around us appreciate it. Looking at these wonderful machines, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, I wish I could polish them like that. I really admire what you do. And it's the pride that people have, the self-satisfaction, earning a living, but doing something that you can be proud of, and you can go home and other people look at what you do and go, God, isn't that fantastic?
James, I'm sure you'd endorse those comments as well. And it's a key message to get across the audience today. It's actually doing a job that's rewarding, has a real impact.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it raises the question, what's the point in people like myself in the office, in the R&D department, doing the high-tech aspects if there's no one to do the low-tech? Essentially what we'd be doing would be for nothing. You've got to have the people there in the background, putting the pieces together, building the pieces of kit, for it all to then come together and have a final item, yeah.
Excellent. You are watching Leeds Manufacturing Live. Thank you for joining us. We're live from the Sound Leisure Classic Jukeboxes here in Leeds. I'm Greg Wright, I'm the Deputy Business Editor of the Yorkshire Post, surrounded by an expert panel who are discussing the big issues about manufacturing. I hope you're enjoying the debate. And do keep sending your questions in, #LeedsMFG Live. Another question that has come in, it's from Kyle. and it says, can I have a meaningful job as an apprentice, or is it just training? Interesting. Right. That's a good reaction already. That's good. Ben, do you want to go in first?
Yeah, I think 100% you can have a meaningful job. It's not just training, but what I would say is check out your employer. Check that you've got a company that fits with your value set and what you're setting out to achieve. I think there's some things where they've got it slightly wrong with MVQs and it's a little bit box ticky. But I think if you check out the right company and look for the opportunities available, I think you'll move forward, and it gives you a great chance to get into a company without getting in debt. If school isn't for you, I can guarantee you university won't be. And going to university when you don't know what you're actually going for and what the end result is could be one of the worst decisions in your life. Whereas going and getting an apprenticeship, somebody's actually going to pay you to turn up every day. So you can still do the party and you can still go to the pub, you can still go to the festivals, but you won't be in debt.
That's a big, but it's interesting here because there's been a big push in apprenticeships. There's been an apprenticeship levy from the government. They want to have thousands and thousands of apprentices. Do you think there's been enough focus on quality from the government?
Is there ever? I think as employers we've got a duty of care to make sure that you get the quality there. I think if an MVQ or an apprenticeship, maybe at an entry level, it's there to give a certain level of training. But I think as employers, we've got a job to do to make sure it's engaging and make sure that it's adding value for the individual and the company. And I think one of the things that they miss sometimes is what value is it adding to the individual? And I think that's something that we should all be doing as employers and encouraging.
Thanks, Ben. Craig, turning to you on this point.
Yeah, I see as an employer or as a small to medium-sized enterprise, finding your apprentices is quite difficult. And that connectivity between young people and schools is still a challenge. And we all point at people and say, oh, it's the government are not doing it. Well, actually, as employers, we know with the stats that are stacking up now, as an employer or as a young person, just think about where would you like to work? What would you want to do? Does that company look interesting, sound interesting? You might be recommended to go back there. Go have a look round and ask them, do you do apprenticeships? Because chances are the doors will be wide open, they'll be really keen to talk to you. It's a funny word, apprenticeship, isn't it? So suddenly somebody thinks, oh, I'm just in training. You know what? I'm not sure when we stop being apprentices. I'm not sure when we stop learning, and I'm not sure when school finishes either. Because at some point you've got to keep going and keep going and keep learning.
Because it's an interesting concept of apprenticeship, because it went out of fashion and now it's back in fashion. But I suppose it's all about the quality of the training. It's a quality of personal development.
Yeah, there's that stigma around apprentices. As soon as I mentioned apprenticeship to my dad, oh, that's it, you won't get paid much money doing that. Do you know, it's absolute rubbish. There's like, you know, how much money do you earn compared to what? Like Graham said, compared to what? And one of my first jobs was that it was working in a mill. Nothing wrong with working in a mill, but I didn't like the work. It was repetitive. You know, luckily automation in the world now is taking most of the repetitive horrid jobs out of manufacturing engineering because most of it's quite interesting. Okay, but I went back to do another job that was half the money because I found it interesting and I wanted to communicate with people. So don't be bamboozled with the money. Apprenticeships, it's a short term. It costs a lot of money to teach people to do a job, and that's one of the reasons why we need to get people in.
That's interesting. Dale, can I turn to you on this point? Apprenticeships, the value of them, and are they just simply training? I mean, what's the difference, really?
I actually do concur from what he's just said. The training aspect of, yes, you're always learning, but
I suppose it's an ongoing learning process, isn't it, for all of us? I mean, apprenticeships is a lifelong journey in many ways.
So it's
that's what people want to know.
It was from, yes, it might be repetitive jobs that you do. For me personally, yes, I fit components into circuit boards, but it's the fact that we're doing different boards for that different customer. So you're seeing different products leave the factory. So, yeah, that was.
Jason, turn to you on that point. I mean, people talk about apprenticeships and the training, but I mean, from your point of view, you clearly have had a very strong career path from the moment you joined Sound Leisure, and that must have helped.
Oh yeah, well at the beginning I didn't even know what this was. Like genuinely, I didn't have a clue.
You didn't, what in sense you didn't even know what?
I didn't even know what spray was. I didn't have a clue. When I first started here, I didn't have a clue. But obviously I took to it really well. And 12 years later, I'm still doing it and still going for it.
But that's really interesting. So basically came in and the firm itself had a really good culture of training and investing in you and teaching you things.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there's been a big increase for the apprenticeship levy with the government saying we need thousands, millions of apprentices. That's a good thing, I suppose, but the emphasis must always be on quality, mustn't it?
Oh, definitely. Well, we don't get quality, we get a bollocking, aren't we? We need to do it properly. You know what I mean?
Oops. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
That's all right. We might have a little bleep machine when we're a bit later. But it's a fair point you make. It's that you've got somebody who will actually be on your case all the time.
Yeah, and it's the training as well that you're getting. You know, you're getting top quality training from the older people. You know, when I started, there were a lot of things going around saying that the older people they don't want to train you. They could get bullied. You could get this. You could get that. My experience was complete opposite. So.
Well, why do you think people said that?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know because it's wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chris, turning to you on this, I mean, as you see, you've got somebody here who's come in, knew basically nothing about the processes he was going to be working in, and you taught him. Apprentices are very much in vogue at the moment, apprenticeships. Do you think the focus should be on quality rather than the sheer volume of apprenticeships?
Yeah, and I think we can teach quality. You can teach people anything if they want to learn. And if somebody's enthused about what they're doing, they'll want to learn, but it's not pushing. It's not like when you're at school where you have got to go to that lesson and you have got to be there at that time. This is more to do with once you find a niche like Jason did, where we try different people in different places and you see a spark or they see a spark. That's part of it, because if you can get up every morning and go to somewhere where you enjoy working and you want to be there, that's it. You will just keep learning and learning and learning, and it's easy then because you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Tracy, turning to you, I know you've got strong views on this.
I tend to have strong views. The future of manufacturing is absolutely dependent on apprenticeships. We need young people into the manufacturing so that we can future-proof our companies. Yeah. Because we're just not getting that connection that you guys seem to miss, the fact that there are massive opportunities. Apprenticeships for us are about bringing young people into the company, teaching them all the skills necessary. So that's right across the board. So for the first month you're in our company for an apprenticeship, you'll work in all the different departments so that you get an understanding of what we do, what our values are, and that will hopefully give you the spark to know what you love to do. And from there, once you get that love, then you'll continue to learn. And in an SME like ours, there's no limits to it. You can move to wherever you want to. So Dale is moving up now into management. So starting from school, he's gone through all the apprenticeships from production, and he's now moving into another apprenticeship for ops management. So there are no limits to it, and as long as you look at it so that you can enjoy your job, get up and go to work and enjoy it.
You're watching Leeds Manufacturing live from Sound Leisure Classic Jukeboxes in Leeds. Do keep sending your questions in to #LeedsMFGLive. We have another question, which is coming from Roundhay School. The question is this: are there jobs available for students who don't achieve 5 GCSEs, including maths and English? So, are there jobs available for students who don't achieve 5 GCSEs, including maths and English? And that's a question that's coming from Roundhay School. I think you want to go first, Ben.
Yeah, I realise we're short of time now, so let's get as many questions in as we can. 100% there's jobs available if you don't get those marks. I think one of the things, sometimes you either like school or you don't, but nothing about my grades that I got in school has got me where I am today. It's all down to attitude and whether you've got some va-va-voom. So if you don't get your GCSE results, but you walk into a manufacturer with the right attitude, you can generally learn some skills. And I was always classed as brighter than my brother he failed all his GCSEs. He's got way more common sense than me. So maybe he's not top of the class for maths or anything else, but he'll solve problems far quicker than me a lot of the time. And if you've got the right attitude, a bit of oomph, a bit about you, you can go a long way in manufacturing.
That's great. Craig, your response, please.
Oh, crikey, yeah. I think you definitely need a GCSE in turning up on time. We definitely, I didn't get the equivalent, well, it was O-levels. I didn't get 5 GCSEs, and I've done okay working in manufacturing. Not to say that you don't have to learn stuff at some point in your career. You still have to go back to school and learn big stuff sometimes. But you know what? The great news, manufacturers, really, part of their job is to make your job interesting. It's to keep you interested. It's to swap and change and give you transferable skills. It's absolutely key. But no, I never look at people's qualifications anymore on CVs. I just don't. I look at the person, see, because we can't teach attitude. That's something that you've either got or you haven't.
Dale, turning to you on this question.
Well, again, yes, I never came out of school with 5 GCSEs at all. And yeah, you start from the bottom and work your way up.
Jason, turning to you.
Yeah, same. I didn't get the best of grades, but I learnt a complete different skill. So, and that's not because of them grades. So yeah.
Chris, can you obviously endorse some of these points?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I didn't get 5 GCSEs. It's not a chance, but it's look, it's like people have said. You need attitude. You need to be able to turn up on a morning. You need to come, look at what's available, and just get involved. And if you do that and you like what you're doing, there's some kids out there now that we're probably talking to that won't get the maths or the English, but they might be fantastic designers, they might be great welders, they might be great polishers. We need more. Obviously there's jobs that you do need that for, but it isn't the be all and end all. And if you don't come out of school with the right grades, it's not the end of the world. It's just talk to somebody and just see a different path.
Tracy, turning to you.
I absolutely agree with you. We've just taken an apprentice on who doesn't have 5 GCSEs, doesn't have the maths and English. We're not going to worry about it. We're going to go down a grade and we're going to give those skills, and I think it's called functional skills. But and you're absolutely right. It's all about attitude. Can you turn up for work? Do you want to be there? The qualifications become redundant. Nobody's interested in them. They're interested in how you work.
Thank you. Graham, turning to you on this point.
Come back to us about there's a job for everyone. I have got more than 5 GCSEs. I've got 2 postgraduate degrees. But looking around, the people here, there's no greater value in that or lesser value in the academic qualifications people have. It's what you choose to do with your life. And manufacturing, the great thing about it is we have something for everybody. So we want people who want to learn trade skills, things that people want to do things with their hands, people who are ideas people rather than academic people. We want all those things. It's much more important to us to have people who have got initiative and ingenuity than somebody who's got 5 GCSEs. So working hard for your GCSEs, yeah, it's important. It gives you more choices. But as manufacturers, we've got something for everyone.
Thank you. Beyond there, James.
Yeah, just to agree again. I think GCSEs, having those can be important a lot of the times. However, also the fact that a lot of people don't always test well in school. At the end of the day, you don't have the basic skills. It's not that you don't have the basic skills just because you can't pass a test. You still have the skills to do what you need to do. I think it's important to look at that, especially with apprenticeships, is that a lot of the companies offering apprenticeships understand that, and they're willing to, as everyone said here, look at the personality that people have got, the willingness to learn, and take it from there, essentially, yeah.
Alice, going to turn to you on this point. Just pass away. Interesting point made there about the importance of attitude. It's because, as people say, when you actually can train somebody who's got the right attitude, but if the attitude isn't there from the outset, it's much harder for the employer to have an impact.
I definitely think you need the attitude, and like GCSE grades aren't the end all that you're sort of told they are. Like, I didn't pass my English first time. It took me a few times to pass it, but it was you just sort of have to keep trying and not give up, because you get a bad mark. The thing earlier about not going well not testing well in schools might be might be a reason to do an apprenticeship, but like I go to college every week, and it's still that sort of environment, like a school environment, but it's more tailored, so I enjoy every lesson that I do because it's tailored to what I enjoy in the manufacturing industry. So an apprenticeship is not the end of school, but it's like learning-wise it's a different type of learning, and I think it's important to like emphasise that there is learning there. It's just not necessarily sort of paper board type. You're given this information and you choose what to do with it. It's more, this information will help you progress. This is why we're doing it.
Liam, can I turn to you on this point about issues like qualifications? A lot of it seems to be attitude here as well, a willingness to learn. Obviously, you were keen to get out of school and actually get into a job. What was it about your attitude, you think, that's helped you get along?
Attitude is a big thing, and for me, working at MPM, I've always got a smile on my face, and that should show other people. Show other people out there who want to work in a factory. It's not boring. But if I've got a smile on my face, it should show that I enjoy what I do.
So you got a smile on the face because you're doing something productive. Yeah, and clearly, from your point of view, you once you'd left school, you wanted to do something productive, but you're learning all the time, because learning doesn't stop for you, does it? What have you learned, do you think?
I learn everything, every day.
But what sort of things can you talk about? You learn processes, dealing with people, working as a team. Has that come in as well?
Yeah, working with people, and you learn what to do in that job.
That's great. Turning to you as well, Jessica, on this particular point, a lot of it that's coming across strongly is the importance of attitude, having the right attitude along with qualifications.
Yeah. Well, Ben said to me a few months ago, you need some more va-va-voom. And I didn't really know what va-va-voom. I was stuck in, this generation is, they're happy to sit back and they don't want to speak.
Right.
Confident, you know, you just don't grow up with them, that skill set.
But did you? So when you talked about va-va-voom, did you Google it, or what did you?
No.
Just, what did you? Is it a thing?
Basically, sometimes I think you need a bit of a kick up the bum to give you that. I knew I had the attitude. It's just sometimes young people find it easier to just sit back and watch, when really you need to put yourself out there and you need to be.
But the employer's being key. Having a good employer,
yeah.
Obviously you're going to say that.
Yeah.
But having a good employer must be key in that, but they've helped you to. You had something there, and you've got your va-va-voom now.
Yeah, he throws me in the deep end. He didn't tell me I'm going to do anything until about 10 minutes before. So.
But do you enjoy being thrown at the deep end?
Well, it's working for me, so I must.
But it's a sign, really, isn't it? How having a good employer makes a difference, and it's not just purely about your qualifications, but attitude is key as well.
Yeah. Well, with the functional skills, what you were saying about not having GCSEs, I recently did an ICT one in my apprenticeship, but it's so much more relaxed, and I found it a lot easier than sitting and doing my GCSEs, because I struggled with my maths, my English, and I've sat them 2 or 3 times to get the grade. But with the functional skill, it was just like I was just sat on my computer. It was just such a different environment.
Yes,
yeah,
and that's because that's the message you get to people watching today. That is what you can do if you move into manufacturing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic, excellent. Right, I'm conscious of the time. We have about 5 minutes to go. There's one more question that's coming, which I think is really gets to the heart of the matter here. It's come from Claire, and it says, "What do we make in Leeds?" Well, we make quite a lot. Shall we start off? I'll go around the table, give examples of great things that are made. But Ben, I'm sure you've got lots of examples you can give me of things that are made in Leeds.
Yeah, like I say, we're generally part of other companies' supply chains, but if some of what we make wasn't made, you'd have raw sewage floating outside of a road, because we do sewage and water treatment tanks. You've got items that go into ambulances. We do a pizza oven that's now being exported to Australia and Ireland and somewhere else, but it's all made here in Yorkshire. So, you know, I think we're sat in this brilliant showroom. I think we should be proud of some of the things that are made in Yorkshire and in Leeds, but they're some of the items that we do.
Craig, if you can give me a quick rundown. There's so many, aren't there? Yes, we have 5 minutes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we talk about Leeds, but if we could even talk about Yorkshire. If we look at Yorkshire, we kind of make everything in Yorkshire. We make things that go in aircraft. We make things that go in rockets. We make food. We make cloth. But the great thing that we do in Leeds, it's about our quality and across Yorkshire. The things that we produce in Yorkshire is about quality. So we could go on forever about the things that we make. Leeds has always been known as a city of 1,000 trades because of the diversity that we have in this city, in this region. So there's a job for everybody.
Dale, I'm sure you want to talk about the great things we make in Leeds.
Well, yes. So same again, we get a lot of throughput through our factory floor, from boiler systems to welding equipment and even little baby monitors as well.
Interesting. Now, I know, Jason, you want to talk about jukeboxes.
Exactly. Thinking. No, we do like loads. Well, the jukeboxes around us to start with, speakers, and we're even going into like the kids side of stuff, doing the like kids toys out there basically, and cushions for kids and all that sort of thing. So, but we also can do like unique things that we've never seen. Like I made a kids what it called now? I completely forgot what it was now. But a toy box, like, but for my kid with a name on it and everything. So stuff like that we can do and push out. Yeah, every little thing like that.
Chris, obviously, you're very proud of your business here, and we can see all around you what you make. But Leeds in itself is a great manufacturing base, still, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's lots
yeah.
of
I mean, there's
examples,
people. Oh wow, they're making cloth for the royal guards that are stood outside Buckingham Palace. That comes from this area. There's cars being manufactured up the road at Janetta. There's the guys at Agfa doing things. I mean, there's so much comes out of this region, which just...
And if you're a school in Leeds, there's so many manufacturers you can engage with.
Yeah, definitely. They come out and see what we do and bring people here. Everybody will open the doors and let people have a look around and see what goes on for real life.
Tracy, I'm sure you got a view.
We manufacture anything with electronics in. So, as Dale said, you can dog hair dryers, you name it, we've done it. If it's got electronics in, we will manufacture it. And I think it's really important that you start to engage with us. Just come and see us. You need to be, if you email us, ring us, it's true, isn't it? We'll have anybody in. After school, if there's a problem with health and safety and your schools don't want to bring you in, then come after school. It's fine. We'll see you.
Graham, I know you want to come in here and talk about the great things that are made in Leeds.
Well, obviously I work in mainly the medical engineering industry, so we're making all the equipment for operating theatres, so operating lights, the big articulated arm systems that carry all the equipment to the surgeon and the anaesthetist. We build medical video systems that are used for actually teaching new surgeons new skills, electrical supply equipment that gives safe electricity supply to the patients. Well, the great thing is you put those things together for these operating theatres and intensive care units, and we deliver them all around the world. Last year we put an operating theatre into the Falklands. We're currently building operating theatres in Uganda, Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Stuff all over the world that we're exporting from this region that I'm really proud of. This, fantastic facilities. Other medical products made in Leeds, medical implants, knee joints. There's a company in Leeds making the equipment for making laparoscopes for keyhole surgery. We make artificial ligaments to go in the knees, silicone implants to go inside the ear and the body, all sorts of stuff.
Thank you. James, very briefly, you want to build on those points, just say you'd endorse all that.
Yeah, just to echo what Graham said, I mean, Leeds is a big medical manufacturing hub, and so with all these companies together and the ability to work together and talk about the products and how they'll fit together in different situations, theatres and ICUs, it's great to have.
Alice, we're going to close things down. We've got about a minute or two left now. Alice, can I just talk to you about the things that are made in Leeds? Obviously, you're passionate about manufacturing, but we need to really shout about Leeds as a great manufacturing base.
Okay, well, it's a bit different at Agfa as we're a step in a process. So we have no final product coming out of our factory. It goes to another factory where the process is finished off, which I think it shows that, yes, while Leeds and Yorkshire is a great place for manufacturing, it's also part of a bigger picture. There's more elements and more places all over the world that are joining together to create high quality products.
Thank you, Alice. Liam, we're almost out of time now. We're coming to the close of today's event. What sort of message do you want people to take away from this event? Because we've talked today about seeing all the passion and the excitement around manufacturing. You're passionate about manufacturing. What key message would you like the people watching to take away?
Well, for me, it is if you don't enjoy school life, you want to pursue a career, then it's best to contact any manufacturing, and you never know, you'll enjoy it. You got to try new things out.
And you can actually look on the Leeds Manufacturing Festival website as well, leedsmanufacturing.co.uk, which is really helpful. Jessica, can I turn to you as well, just so we sort of close things down here. Obviously, you've seen what a great career you can make working in Leeds. What's your message to people who might be watching today and thinking about moving into the sector?
I think you just need to know where to look. I struggled to find anything because I didn't know, I wasn't given any advice in school or anything, but I just went to the government website and you can choose what sector, what kind of apprenticeship you want, and loads came up. I think about 30 came up, and
That's incredible, isn't it? But the thing is, the actual manufacturing firms themselves want to hear from you. If you're actually a school or you're a pupil who wants to actually get experience, all the firms here will help, and many, many other firms will help as well.
Yeah, I agree.
That's excellent. Right, well, I'm so actually out of time, but it's been a real pleasure to host today's Leeds Manufacturing Live. We've come here live from Sound Leisure, the classic jukebox maker based in Leeds. Thank you to all our panellists. You'll be able to watch this on YouTube, so thank you very much for taking part in today's event. And the key message is Leeds is a great base for manufacturing, and it's a great opportunity to establish a long-term career in a sector which offers a wide variety of opportunities. I'm Greg Wright, I'm the Deputy Business Editor of the Yorkshire Post. Thank you for joining us, thank you to the panellists for joining us as well, and until next time, goodbye.